Hello, everyone, and good morning. Welcome to our live feed update for February 10th. I'm your host, Taran Armstrong, and with me this morning is a man. He was actually supposed to be on the first live feed update, but
I
that
was.
was canceled. So instead, he is here today. It's Jacob Jones. How you doing, Jacob?
Taran, first off, I've experienced a lot of heartbreak this season of Celebrity Big Brother for a variety of reasons. And it started off by Paramount Plus, CBS, Celebrity Big Brother, the drama that the houseguests were experiencing, cutting the feeds the first night, and then 2 hours the moment that it was supposed to go live, then they want to put out a PSA. For one, I had so many thoughts about this cast that I wanted to get off that first night. For two, I thought the premiere was really good.
Yeah.
For three, it was a Real Housewives of Atlanta star, Cynthia Bailey, who I was not the biggest fan of, but I'm starting to like her a lot more now. Five, it took Tara, I didn't get to see you that next morning. Like, I was literally like, my heart was like, I was like, I'm going to see Tara, I got a haircut and everything for that shit.
Oof.
But I know, right? Literally. If you know how expensive my haircuts are. And so they took time away from Jacob and Taran time, and I was low-key upset. I mean, and I haven't even been on since. And I haven't even talked about the boo-boo bed. I haven't even talked about the cake eating. I haven't talked about like what the hell Todrick's been up to. So yeah, I'm pressed and pissed. But we had and another thing that we ran about, the live feeds are pissing me off too. And I want to talk to whoever in charge with my pinky, because I was like, I was deciding when to go downstairs to get a pizza. I was like, oh, the live is going to be up any minute. The live is going to be up in. Nah, when I came back from getting pizza, it was still not up. So I'm like, when the hell I'm supposed to expect this? I got a workout in. Guess what? The live feed's still not up. So Jen, I'm very bitter, very mad, but very excited to be here. And I haven't talked to you in a while. I haven't talked to you about this season. I've been hearing y'all's thoughts about it. And I think it's time for me to rant and rave.
It's time. There's plenty to talk about here today, as we are here to, of course, update you on everything that happened yesterday on the Celebrity Big Brother live feeds. It was day 15 in the house, and even though pretty much nothing of interest happened prior to the feeds going down for the veto, once they came back from the veto, we had plenty of stuff going on, and this is what I mentioned the other night, actually, which is that like that period before the veto is one of the slower periods. Now that the veto has been played and won, there's actually stuff to talk about. And in addition to that, when the feeds came back up for the veto from the veto, somebody was missing. Jacob.
It was the cake eater. And I'm like, is this a surprise? Taran, were you surprised by this news? I was surprised that he left, but I was like, all right, homeboy, the only thing homeboy wants is his cake. And if he can get his cake and leave too, it's best of both worlds in this case scenario. And we've seen a lot of times in Big Brother gameplay or whatever, cast members are like, I mean, we've seen two notable ones, Dr. Will and Dan say, send me home X, Y, and Z. But when he said that on whenever that eviction was, it wasn't strategic. It was like, I want to leave. Please send me home now. It was a cry for help. And they didn't do it. And so if any house guest would have left, it would have been the person waking up at 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 a.m. in the morning to grab a little slice of cake and then go back to bed. So, yeah, I was very heartbroken, though, when I found out, honestly. Not
Yeah,
heartbroken. That's a heavy word, but
it wasn't that surprising. I didn't think he was that dedicated to leaving, and we still don't know exactly what happened, if there was something that sort of caused it or pushed it to happen. The fact that it happened during a veto competition kind of implies to me that maybe he was playing, and he was just like, all right, screw this, my back hurts. I mean, like,
yeah.
or something along those lines. Or maybe he was watching them play, and he was just like, screw this. I mean, he didn't even stay out there for the HOH competition. They were like, well, Chris Kattan has gone into rest as we read these results. So Shayna did mention that she feels like she upset him to the point of leaving at some point. But
Oh, yes.
but that may just be her saying that that because she didn't use the veto and you know that Mirai left that upset him enough that he left. But we just don't know yet.
Hopefully, it's not anything like injury related. So he was competing in the video or just outside watching. It was like, nah, I don't got time for this. Hopefully, I mean, he provided a lot of laughs for me on feeds on the show. And so him leaving, I typically like don't like quitters, but in the sense I'm like, okay, Chris, you got it. Yeah, I still not mad at you. You know what I mean? Like, how can I be?
Yeah, I mean, he like you understand.
Yes, I
This isn't
understand.
yeah, this isn't like and even past celebrities where it's been like all right, Meta World Peace, like you can handle the house. Like you're going on a Survivor show now, Meta World Peace. Like if you can do Survivor as celebrity, you could have done Big
I
Brother.
know. I'm like, I was very shocked because I mean, I think that's really more physically demanding. I think that's probably where he will succeed at more than the mental range of the game. Not calling him. I'll just leave that at that. But yeah, yeah, Taryn, honestly. But Chris, I love you. And I think I'm gonna follow him like on his social medias because I actually thought he was so funny. I don't know about his SNL days or his skit comedy days or anything like that. I don't think you
Yeah,
do
that's for those
either.
way older people.
Yeah, it's for you. But I'm definitely gonna go on YouTube and like look up his stuff because I think he's so freaking hilarious. And I think he made so many shady remarks that were underlining funny, but I just got a kick out of him every moment. And I like him. I really enjoy him. I love him. And
Yeah,
so he's
I'm
very lovable.
I'm upset that I can no longer play the Is Chris Kattan joking or serious game because I enjoyed it.
Uh
Um, so that's it
TBH.
for Chris Kattan. You know, I think the last words on Chris Kattan for me are that you know, despite his performance in the game, he genuinely seemed to be such a sweetheart. I mean,
Mhm.
like he had a rivalry with Todd because he was snoring at night. But beyond that, and even that was like pretty lighthearted.
Yeah.
He was kind to everyone. He never had a mean word to say about anyone. He was so nice to Mirai and was there for her. You know, who would have imagined that like one of the oldest guys there would be like the most understanding of her situation and the things that she was going through. I think you know I definitely was impressed overall by Chris Kattan.
Yeah, round of applause for him. Also, I do want to comment about the relationship between him and Mariah because it was very unique, but I found it so heartwarming because honestly, if I was in that situation, I honestly resonate, not probably resonate, but connect with older people a lot of the times. I think because, and not saying he's like this old or however old, but I've been around a lot of nursing homes because like my family runs a nursing home. And so I typically like go there. They're like so excited to see me. And I'm like, the bright eye, like, oh my God, you know, Sarah, come here. How are the grandkids? Stuff like that. And so I really love that sweet warmth. And then when went to go give her a hug, and she was crying. I was like, I want a hug from Chris Kattan. I want that connection. But you know, yeah, it just made me miss older people.
Yeah,
Seasoned people. That's a better term. Seasoned people.
well that just makes it seem like you're gonna eat them.
I may.
It's full of cake.
It's full of cake. Wait, do you know those videos on like Twitter or whatever where like it's a oven and then they cut it and it's actually a piece of cake?
Oh yes, I have seen those. Yeah,
Yeah,
they
that could
piece of
be a
cake. Yeah,
thing. So,
there you go.
nom, 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 nom.
That's Chris. That's what happened is that they discovered that he hasn't actually even been in the house. That's why he's not tweeting or posting about Big Brother. He's been out of the house the whole time. It was just a large life-sized cake the whole time.
Yes, absolutely. And I'm here for it.
All right. Well, we did get results from the veto. And as we know, of course, Misha is the HOH, and she has nominated Carson and Cynthia for eviction, with Carson as the target. They played the HOH, and when the feeds came back, we discovered that Shayna has won the veto 2 in a row. And right away, this is during the episode. The feeds came back during the episode. Shayna is talking to Lamar. And if you remember from yesterday, I mentioned that Lamar was actually on board with the anti-Misha stuff and has been talking to Shayna. And so Shayna's talking to Lamar about the fact that she wants to use this veto. And she's already talked to Misha, and Misha has already told her, like, hey, it's fine if you take Cynthia down. But she doesn't want to take Cynthia down. She wants to take Carson down and save Carson.
And I am here for that. I think Shayna, that's how you pronounce her name, right?
Shayna, yeah.
Pronounce it, Shayna. I've really enjoyed her this season, and last time she won POV, I was expecting something and I didn't get it, but I understood it. This time, if she don't do it, then I'm not gonna understand it, and I'm gonna grab my pitchfork and we're gonna go to war. And just the way that she's talking, and the more that she's getting annoyed with Todrick and Misha, and the more shit talking she's doing about them, kind of adds to the veracity that she's gonna have to use that video on Carson. And I love the fact that Lamar is clicking in recent days, and as the game progresses, and he's like getting things, starting to strategize, starting to understand the concept of what he needs to do to actually win and what side that he wants to be on. And so I'm here for it. Take Carson down, keep Cynthia up if that's what you want to do. And she also hinted at this with, she was talking to Chris Kirkpatrick later, and she said, oh, I need people who can win, and I can't do that with F and Cynthia. No shade to Cynthia. Even her daughter threw shade at her at the premiere, saying, your physical ability or whatever. But I think Cynthia can still pull out a W somehow, some way, and God willing. But I think there's merit to what she said and wanting to keep Carson safe opposed to Cynthia, but she still wants to keep Cynthia. So I'm here for it.
Yes. So the idea would be that if she takes down Carson with Catan gone, there are only 3 options for Misha to put on the block, since Carson and Cynthia are already on the block. Shayna has won the veto. Misha is HOH. That means that if Shayna takes Carson off the block, then Misha will have to put up either Todrick, which is not happening, or sorry, 4 options, because Lamar is also an option. So either Todrick, which is not happening, then Lamar, Todd, or Chris Kirkpatrick, who we can now just call Chris if we want.
Yeah, honestly, yeah.
So this is what you were waiting for us to be able to just call one person Chris before you.
Oh yeah, I don't like saying last names. Even when I say people's name in my phones, I don't put last names in. I know it's so crazy, but I don't. Do you have my last name saved? Or you probably never mind, you probably don't even have my number saved.
Jacob Jones. Come on. Of course I have your number. We talked about this on the Taran show.
I know, but I don't know, because you could just have my number but not have my number actually saved. But now you're checking, and now you're probably inserting my name.
I'm checking so that I can show you.
What Ernest doing, he's doing it right now. Okay, I'm impressed. But yeah, I don't like saying last names, honestly. Unless it's iconic as Jacob Jones,
Yeah, I always put last names in. What if you have friends that have the same name?
Then I will put then they screwed. My coworker name is Maggie, and my co-host for the Real Housewives of Salt Lake City podcast is Maggie Morgan. I sometimes text Maggie Morgan. I sometimes text my coworker Maggie, "Hey, are we still on for 8 o'clock?" And she texts me, "What?" It is, but I won't fix it.
Oh boy. All right. So the plan for Shayna is that hopefully, if she uses the veto on Carson, Todd will go up in Carson's place. And then they can vote Todd out over Cynthia. The idea being that Todd, as she says, is on Misha's jockstrap. And so they can get him out, and that's it's no sweat off their back. And she says if Todd stays, though, she's going to need Lamar to help get Todd off of Misha's jockstrap.
Yeah, I mean, just the analogy of a jockstrap. It's hot on Misha's. Well, I guess because wrestling jockstraps.
Yeah.
Or fighting.
Maybe.
They were jockstraps in fighting, I believe.
I'm not going to Google it.
Don't Google it,
Yeah.
especially on your work computer. But yeah, I mean, I completely agree, and I like that she's leveraging Lamar to like really rein in Todd at some point because they know they're probably closer. If they're doing the duos, then it would be essentially Lamar and Todd. And so I like the way that she's thinking with this.
Yes. So Shane is going to go to Chris, and he is all in on the plan as well. He says that he knows that it could be him that goes up, that is a possibility, and then he might be voted out. But he's okay with that risk. But he thinks that Misha will put up Todd. He doesn't think that Misha will put him up because they've got a relationship, and so he thinks that Todd will be the most expendable, essentially, to Misha. And Shayna says that she wants to see what Misha will say about it. If she talks to Misha. So this is in motion here. Chris isn't even trying to move against this, which he quite frankly should, because it's likely him that's going to be in trouble because of it, or it should be. Shayna also talks to Cynthia and Carson and lets them know what she's thinking, and she tells them that if Lamar, Todd, or Chris end up on the block, she's voting to keep Cynthia no matter what. Which I don't think should be what she's wanting to do, but she's certainly telling them that. And at one point, Carson suggests he's like, maybe we can pull Todrick in, and Shanna's like, no, he is the devil to me now. I will go out of this house swinging at this man.
Which I love the energy behind it. I necessarily don't understand like the hypeness with like, oh, he's the devil. I will go out swinging because I don't think anything like that much has happened between the two of them to ignite that. But I do love the feud in kind of Shayna's head only because I don't think he's really thinking of Shayna in that aspect. But yeah, it's very fun to see. Also, I want to ask you, um, you said that that isn't what she should do. So do you actually believe that she will keep Cynthia? Or what's your percentage wise on if anyone else is up besides Cynthia that she will keep Cynthia?
Well, the thing for me is that that if Shayna Shayna should just have a conversation with Misha, which I
Hmm.
assume she will at some point today, and say, "Look, here's what I want to do. I want to use the veto on Carson, and or Cynthia, which
Hmm.
might have actually worked if other events in the day hadn't happened. But she should go to Misha, talk to Misha about wanting to use the veto, and then be like, "Who would you name as replacement?" And if Misha says Todd, then sure, it's worth the risk. Hope
Hmm.
that Todd goes up. You're in a killer position if that happens, because that's a really dumb thing for Misha to do. If Misha says I'm not an idiot, I'm going to put up Chris Kirkpatrick, then I don't think Shayna should even use the veto at all. I think that she should protect Chris because Chris is a much better ally to her than Carson, and certainly more than Cynthia. Carson and Cynthia are most loyal to each other. They have a
Hmm.
final two together. They are completely loyal to each other. Um, Chris Kirkpatrick has nobody other than Shayna. He is completely loyal to Shayna. Chris Kirkpatrick has won one competition. Carson has won one competition. They're not that divergent in terms of their competition abilities. It's not like Carson is much more valuable than Chris. And in addition to all of that, Chris is definitely going to lose to Shayna in the final two if it came to that. Whereas probably both Carson and Cynthia could potentially at least beat Shayna. I think Cynthia would have a harder time at this point, but Carson, I think, would definitely beat her if they were in the final two. So there's not really any scenario where I see keeping Carson over Chris if she knew that was the choice is the right move.
It's so wild to me to think about Chris's game probably like last week compared to now because I feel like he was doing like he had his alliances and he had people that he could work with and that he trusts and now seeming so that he only really has Shayna and just to see that kind of divulge into like what it is now is kind of eye-opening. But now that you put it that way, I agree with you, even though I would want Carson or Cynthia saved because if Chris goes up, I believe Chris is going home because so many people have so many opposing thoughts about him, and I know people were calling him like I forgot like the names of people, not names, but like they just don't trust them like that anymore. And I think it's, it happened to do with like last week or, the eviction shit like that. But yeah, it's very weird to see Chris's game come down to only having Shayna. But everyone has their duo in this game now, so it is what
Yeah,
it
I mean,
is.
he really he messed up. I mean, I think that he had the right idea, and I mentioned this last cycle, that he had the right idea by taking Mirai out and trying to continue to play the middle, but he just went all in on it, and he should not have tried to make that plan to take Todrick out and
Hmm.
then back off of it. He should have just the whole week, the whole cycle, been like, I'm getting out Mirai because of our issue, and I was promised I could get Mirai out, and that's what I'm doing, and that's what I'm doing, and that's what I'm doing. And that's it. But instead, he got way too involved, and now everybody knows that he's been trying to play both sides, and Todrick and them know that he's not with them anymore, and it's just a mess. So. Shayna ends up talking with Cynthia and Lamar. Lamar comes in after Carson heads out a little bit. And this is a funny moment. Shayna asks Lamar in front of Cynthia, "So, Lamar, if Todd went up on the block against Cynthia, who would you vote for?" And he's like, "To stay?" Uh, hmm. And Cynthia's like, "It's okay. You don't have to ask. You don't have to answer the question." He's like, "Well, here's my thing." He's completely dodging this question. He says, "Here's
Hmm.
my thing. I just heard Chris call Misha coach, and it made me want to throw up."
He completely diverted from what they were really talking about to talk about the coach plan, which I mean, I loved it. And I mean, if I was Cynthia, I would have had him answer that question, even though, I mean, Todd's his boy. And so we kind of already know that answer in a way, but he could still go both ways. I'm surprised that no one has called Lamar Lamb in this house or doing recaps. Like people used to call him Lamb, like, "Hey, Lamb," or his ex wife did on their show.
Huh.
So yeah,
Why?
Lamb.
Why Lamb?
Like Lamar, like I think like LAM is the
Just
first letters of Lamb.
just like shortening the name.
Yeah, like lamb, lammy,
I will
lamb.
say that sometimes when I'm reading the name Lamar, depending on the font, I'm like, wait, am I reading an old celebrity thing and they're talking about Tamar?
That was cute. That was cute.
Right? It's sometimes
Kind
the
of silly.
L's just look in just enough like a T that
Mm-hmm.
that I just read the MR and I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, Tam oh, I must be reading
Tamar.
the
You
wrong
get
celebrity.
excited. You get all your endorphins in again. TBH. Oh, Lammy. Yeah. Okay. So someone in the chat said that Shayna called him Lammy during the potato comp. Okay. Yeah. Well, Shayna also called his ex-wife,
A
whatever
donkey.
that name was. Yeah. And so I guess she got it from her.
A donkey and a lamb. There you go. So Chris is going to talk to Cynthia, and she's basically gonna because Cynthia and Carson were talking. They were like, "Look, if Chris goes up, good riddance. Let's take
Mm-hmm.
Chris out of here." And Shane is kind of trying to bridge this gap. So Chris talks to Cynthia, and she basically calls him out for playing both sides. She says, "I don't trust you." Uh, and he's like, no, no, no. It's like I was playing both sides. Like I did know that you were going up on the block, and yes, I didn't tell you about it, but now I am now choosing your side. That's it. I'm on your side now. If I win HOH next week, I'm putting up Misha and Todrick.
He's on their side because he has no other choice to it. And since Shayna is probably his closest ally and more close to Cynthia and Carson and shit talks Todrick and Misha, then it would only make sense. But I mean, I love Cynthia calling him out. Cynthia, I saw on Twitter, people were saying that she has that Ozzy energy of just the bluntness and just the straight upness of like, yo, like I don't trust you at this moment. If I were to win, I would have put you up, things like that. And I really, and it's something to say with players like that. And I saw Oza tweet. She said it's value in that, in a sense of people knowing where your head's at, where you don't have to question, and so that can kind of gain you some type of favor in it. And so that may work for Cynthia, but also I don't believe Cynthia is a threat where anyone would say, "Oh, let's target her immediately for saying X, Y, and Z." So she kind of has both ends working for her in that way. So.
Yeah, I think, in terms of a strategy, it only works if you're not a threat, right?
Mhm.
Because if you are a threat and you're blunt and upfront, then people are gonna be threatened, right? Like
Yes,
if
definitely.
it's like, "I don't trust you and I win lots of HOHs," it's like, "Oh, that's terrifying, I need you out." If you're
Yeah.
like, "I don't trust you, but you don't win anything," then you're like, "Oh, well, it's nice to know where you stand, I guess."
Okay, well, thanks for saying that. I'll talk to you tomorrow. You'll still be
Yeah.
here. I'll still be here. We can kind of reconnect this, but I'm not worried about you for now. Yeah, it's definitely that.
Um,
Wait,
so,
what are your thoughts about Cynthia?
I mean, I like Cynthia. In the game, she's not giving me a whole lot,
Mhm.
um, but I like her. I mean, she's very rootable.
She's very rootable.
Yeah.
I know when the cast got released and everything, last season I was super excited to see Candy because Candy's one of my favorite housewives
Mhm.
ever. Um, Kenya Moore is my number one, which I was hoping we would get her before Cynthia Bailey. But Candy and Cynthia are really close and dynamic in a way, but Candy has that edge in the game where she kind of got it and implemented her gotness in a much more savvier way in a sense. And so that's what I was hoping would click for Cynthia, but we still just see her, being buddy buddy with Carson. And the game talk is there, but it's not like it's hard for it to come into like, oh, I'm gonna spearhead this or to give her any type of I don't know, like rah-rah energy to actually do a move in a sense. So
Yeah, like I think the way that I would describe it is that when the game comes to her, she's great.
mhm. Mhm.
Like last night was awesome. Like people were coming to her. Shayna was coming to her with things. Chris was coming to her with things. Lamar, Carson, they're all bringing, and it's all happening in that room, right? Like they're all bringing her stuff.
Yeah.
She's great. She's entertaining during all of that, but she doesn't bring the game to anyone else.
Mhm.
Really, like she doesn't go out and actively make things happen or make game talk happen as much. And I wish that she were a little more active. But it's a celebrity season. You can lose.
Yeah, yeah, you know what I mean? But, I mean, it's a celebrity season, but last season we had some hardworking celebrities in that house, and
Yeah.
so, you know what I mean? So, they could easily bring it. I mean, and Shayna is bringing it too, and so, I appreciate it, and we have Todrick, we have Misha, we have Carson, and we have Lamb that's, starting to get it and things like that, so, yeah.
All right. Well, Todrick is going to talk to Misha. We're finally going to get to hear from Todrick and Misha. And this is a wild conversation because all night I was like, what are they thinking? How could they possibly think that Misha would be just so um, just not thinking correctly about who she could put up on the block, that she would put up Todd? That is a completely wild, out there idea. Nobody who has any level of game sense would even consider doing that. And it turns out that she is actually thinking that, yes, that's what she's going to do. She was actually thinking that she would put Todd. Now, this is in response to Shayna vetoing Cynthia from the block. She is trying to sell to Todrick that Shayna is only using the veto on Cynthia to give her some peace of mind. It's just it means nothing. Just giving her some peace of mind. And if they put Todd on the block, then they can trust that Chris will vote for Carson to leave. Because why would Chris vote for Carson to stay? He knows he can't beat Carson in the final two. He knows he can beat Todd in the final two. Why would he do that? And Todrick is essentially like, excuse me? No, no. What are you talking
Yeah.
about? No, you cannot trust Chris's vote. If he is the swing vote against from with Todd and Carson, he's going to vote Todd out. We're going to be screwed. You do not understand. They're all against us. They're plotting. There's Shayna is taking somebody off the block because she's plotting against us. And Misha's like, no, it's just because he wants Cynthia some peace of mind. He's like, no, this is Shayna. She never stopped playing with the other side. You know how when I was working with you, went to them and was like, I'm not working with you guys anymore? She didn't do that. She was on both sides this whole time. She is a player. She's not going to make a move unless she has a plan. this is the plan. They're in rooms talking together, sneaking and plotting. And she's like, yeah, but Chris wouldn't do that. She's not going to do it unless she knows that Chris is on board. She's like, I don't know though. She's trying to play both sides. Not trying is.
She is. I mean, as much as Misha and Todrick get crap about their dynamic or their duo-ship or whatever the case may be, this was needed for both of their games. Like, Todrick was the humbling force to be like, hey, Misha, let's actually strap our heads on correctly and let's understand what is actually going on. And I think Misha is still on this track of, well, Chris is so still kind of infatuated with me, my fighting abilities, and he's a fan, so I feel like I can still, if I need to leverage that relationship, I feel like I can still have that, where she doesn't understand that Shayna kind of has Chris to herself, and Todrick understands that. And so as an overall thing, and Todrick and Shayna at some point were playing the same game, and the fact that Todrick knows, oh, she's still playing that game. So, like, I'm not playing that game anymore. I knew what that game was, and I decided not to do it, but I know that she's still doing it because I was at some point trying to do that. So don't trust that. And I thought it was very swabby. The hell I'm trying to say?
Suave?
No. Taran, this thing was on the tip of my tongue, and literally, I don't know if it was the spit or whatever, it just got lost.
Oh, man.
I digress. Swaggy? Not swaggy. Whatever the term is. It was very savvy. That's what it was. Swabby. No, savvy.
No.
Savvy.
You play Wordle?
Yes. No, I would never. For that reason alone. But yes, swabby. I'm done saying it. Savvy. Yes. Oh my gosh.
Well, I agree. I like Todrick is talking major sense here to Misha. And Misha is talking about like, well, I don't know, okay, maybe I'll ask Chris. I'll talk to Chris. I'll ask him what he would do. I don't think he would lie to me. If I sense any hesitation, then I'll put him on the block. But if he tells me that he's gonna vote Carson out, I will believe him. And Todrick is like, no, he's gonna lie to you. And she's like, I just need to talk to him. Now I said that Todrick is talking sense here. However, I also think he is not very effective at communicating this point. I listed all of the best points he made, but those were not the majority of the points he was making. He was also making lots of points about how much he hates Chris Kirkpatrick. That I can't even remember all of the insults and like various points of he's the worst. I would he would like undergo torture in order to prevent him from winning. He's so clearly making it personal that it's undermining his actual logical point. And Misha is conflicted.
As she should be. As she should be. I mean, especially you're trying to. I mean, Misha is thinking, okay, we need to kind of trust him. If we're not going to put him up, we need his vote. And then you're kind of being like, oh, not F that dude. I mean, how much can she really go with that? So
yes. And so I think that she is in part thinking like, he doesn't want me to trust Chris because he doesn't like Chris, but they're both probably just a little jealous of it.
No, that's honestly what I feel. I don't think Todrick is as jealous, but I think really Chris is really, and especially his conversation with Misha later on that night, when he was talking, and he kept making comments, not even subtle comments, saying, oh, well, we're working together, but we're not like you and Todrick, Misha. And so I definitely think some jealousy of, who's Misha's favorite is coming into play with this dynamic between Chris and Todrick.
So then I think an additional point that makes Misha hesitate a bit here is that Todrick takes it a step further. He says, so you should put Chris on the block if Shayna uses the veto on Cynthia. And she says, well, then we still vote out Carson, right? He goes, no, we vote out Chris. She's like, oh, we're going to keep Carson? They're like, yes, Carson he's not as much of a threat as Chris Kirkpatrick. Like, we got to get Chris out of here. He's against us. And this is where it's like, this no longer makes sense for Misha's. It makes sense to put Chris on the block to prevent him from screwing them over and taking Todd out. But it doesn't make sense for her to full on vote Chris Kirkpatrick out over Carson. And really, what Misha should do is go to Shayna and say, "I am going to put Chris up on the block. If you use the veto, don't do it." And because he will go home and we'll both be screwed. But Todrick is pitching, we want Chris out. We want Carson to stay. He's even pitching that maybe we can go to Carson, make some kind of deal with him, and make this happen. So this is, I think, another bit of hesitation here, and there's very real danger at this point that that Misha will go to Chris. All he needs to do is say, "Yes, I will vote Carson out," and Todd will go up, and Todd will go out. Probably. Now, there are a couple of other small things in the way here, which is that Misha still thinks that Shayna is using the veto on Cynthia, and Shayna plans to use the veto on Carson. And so when Shayna uses the veto on Carson instead of Cynthia, that could throw a wrench into things and cause Misha to put Chris up instead of Todd, since things are all over the place. However, what he needs to do is have a conversation with Misha and just say, "I'm definitely going to vote out Carson. I am totally with you. Trust me." And he should be good as long as she is convinced. So we'll see.
As long as she is convinced, that's the only key. He like needs to know if this happens. No like question marks. No dot. No hesitation.
It's Jacob. Ask me if I'm going to vote Carson out.
Hey Taran, you're gonna vote Carson out, right?
Yes.
Period. As it should be. That's what he needs. That automatic response. Not
that's it.
Like no, literally nothing like that.
So before that conversation happens, Carson goes to Cynthia and he says, "Hey, Cynthia, I want to work with you. And if Carson's gone and you need somebody, like, I'll be here. And you shouldn't want to work with other people who are playing both sides and telling people what they want to hear. I'm not that person. Let's get it back to where it was before, and let's work together." And she's like, "Okay."
Yes, that's the only answer that she could have gave. I feel like too much shit has gone down for you to then circle back around when you know that something's about to hit the fan and go back.
Like, what do you mean the way it was before?
Exactly. Like, like I don't even think it was a couple of days. Like we saw in the first week, you throw away that alliance, and then they were on to you after that. And so it was really no way it was before. And Cynthia's clocking it, and I think she gave him the answer that only a suitable person would if someone came to your face and said, "Okay, we need to work together," and stuff like that. But yeah, no, I ain't with it.
So Misha goes to Chris, and she says, "All right, Chris, what would you do if I put Todd on the block? Because you'd be the swing vote. Would you vote Carson out?" And remember, the correct answer is
yes.
Period.
And his answer was, "Or what? You're putting me up?" No. I'm saying if I put Todd up, you are the swing vote. So obviously, you're still voting out Carson, right? Remember again, correct answer.
Yes.
Okay. He goes, "What if Carson's there?" "Yeah." Well, that's what we're doing. But hey, she goes, "Okay, that's good to hear." He's like, she's, even though he did hesitate and he did stutter, she's on board. She's like, "Okay, that's good to hear. I'm glad you're saying that." I was a little worried. He could leave the room right now and he's probably fine.
He could. He should have.
Instead, he's just, why is Todrick acting so weird to me? It's like, she goes, "I think you guys are just miscommunicating. I think that there's a thing happening." And this is what, like, she believes that it's just a personal issue between the two of them. She now thinks, okay, Chris said he would. She wants to believe that Chris is still on her side. So all he needed to do was say, "Well, that's what we're doing." And she's on board again. She's like, yes, I've got Chris. And you and Todrick, you're just miscommunicating. You're just not trusting each other. That's fine. They talk through that a little bit. And she says, I'm glad I talked to you, Chris. I trust you. And I just needed to have this conversation with you. And I'm so glad that I did. And he's like, yeah, just about Todrick, though. And it continues and it continues. And they keep talking. And he talks himself completely out of this situation. He gets to they're arguing about Todrick. He won't let things rest. And he eventually, she's like, so what, are you with me or not? And he's like, I just don't know anymore. And, look, you can do what you need to do. If you need to put me up on the block, then that's fine. If you need to cut me off, that's fine. I'll be rooting for you at home. Like, and it goes from he's completely nailed it, kind of, to now made her completely not think that he's with her anymore.
Yeah, it was stupid. It was dumb. It was foolish. And he should have left the room after the first agreeing. It's like, okay, this is easy conversation. And I feel as though he was just throwing and showing its insecurities of their relationship and really trying to put Todrick down. I mean, as Todrick was doing as well. But I feel like this was a way more important conversation that he needed to go super well and super convincing. And don't throw doubt on her closest ally in the game to her. And then say, oh, put me on the block. Like, if that's what you have to do, at least, if I go home, at least send me a crying goodbye message.
Yeah.
Chris, get out of here. Chris, go. Chris, like, do you want her to feel sorry for you? Do you want, oh, this is really gonna convince her to make me her number one? Like, what are you trying to do right here? Are you actually trying to go? It was just so confusing and so annoying watching this.
Mm-hmm. So in the meantime, Chris is gonna go, or afterwards, Chris is gonna go to Cynthia and Carson, and he lets them. Look, I volunteered for the block. So
He's so stupid.
if I leave, it's fine. This the way it's gonna be. And Carson and Cynthia, after he leaves, are like, what's wrong with this man? We do not trust this guy. And Cynthia lets Carson know about Todrick's pitch to work with her. She's like, I'm not buying this. No good. But he says, hey, keep your options open. All right. You might need to work with Todrick if I go.
Do you think that will, I mean, it'll be another person added to the alliance, another person that has Cynthia back, seemingly so. But how do you think that will go, Todrick, Misha, and Cynthia, if, say, whatever happens, if Carson does leave?
I mean, so the thing about a player like Cynthia is that she's not winning competitions right now, right? So it doesn't really matter who she claims to be aligned with because she never has to prove it. So she can work with Todrick and Misha all she wants. When it comes down to a vote, if she's a swing vote, then she can vote against them and screw them over. Or if she ever wins power, she can be like, all right, great. I've been working with you until now. Bye. Protect me until that moment. Like, as long as she can remain protected until she has the ability to actually do something against them, why not?
It's strategic, babes. It's strategic. Cynthia is a strategic legend. Yes. Maybe she's not going to win anything. Maybe it's purposeful.
And that's the thing, right? Like, if she never wins anything, then it wouldn't have mattered anyway. And at least now she's protected to the end. And maybe she gets lucky and they bring her to the final two or something, right?
Maybe. It's Cynthia's a strategic queen, Taran. You just convinced me of that. The strategy.
She's not planning to do that yet, at least.
She's not. But if she does, legend.
Todrick is also going to go to Todd, and he tells Todd, like, hey, you are not safe if you go on the block. We cannot let you go up on the block. Lamar also talks to Todd, and Lamar lets Todd know, hey, it's not going to be Cynthia that goes down. She's planning to take Carson off the block. So that information is out there now. And then Todrick goes and talks to Misha, and Misha tells him, so I talked to Chris, and you were right. Super sketchy. He volunteered to go up on the block. We couldn't guarantee he would be the vote. And I wish I were more surprised. You had convinced me before. You had prepared me for it, but I'm just so I can't believe it. And he's like, yeah. What did I tell you?
I told you.
Yeah.
I'm right. Listen to me. You saw all the times I was bitching about this man. It's all true. It's all true. But I don't think it's actually true. I think it was convenient that Chris spiraled like that. It was so super convenient because they just had the conversation doubting him. And so, who knows when is the veto ceremony today?
I think it's today,
It
but
should be.
theoretically, it could be like a live ceremony tomorrow or something. But I think it'll be today.
And hopefully people sleep, come to their senses, and hopefully Chris can do some work of reconfirming or reaffirming Misha into being like, hey, like I want to work with you. I would do as you say. Because last night I just think he was super insecure about his place in the game, him only having one really true ally, and him coming from having, Misha's support and being so fantasized with the character that Misha is and her career and things like that to being okay, disposable to her and Todrick taking that place. Oh, well, was Chris drunk?
I mean, I do think they had alcohol, but I mean, I don't know. It kind of always sounds drunk.
So the whistle was wet, is what you're saying.
So Misha did or they Misha and Todrick talked about how essentially like, okay, we will let Shayna know that Chris is going to go up on the block. Like that conversation is theoretically planned for today. So that's going to be the big conversation where if they let Shayna know we're not putting Todd up on the block, it would be Chris. What does Shayna then do? Will Shayna tell them that she wants to pull Carson? Will she go through with it anyway? Will she lie and then surprise them? Will this hold? Will they actually put Chris on, or will she actually put Chris on the block, or can he get back in there and convince her otherwise? Right now, again, if everybody's acting in their best interest, then Misha talks to Shayna. She says, Chris will go on the block if you use it. And Shayna says, okay, actually, then I'm not going to use it.
Yeah.
But that may not be what happens. So we're just going to have to wait and see. That conversation is going to be major if they even have it, which they may not.
I mean, just in the way that Misha speaks, I mean, not Misha, Shayna speaks about like Misha and Todrick. I want her to have that, and it's not smart game wise. No, it's not smart her game wise. But the way that she has that energy for them when she's like talking about them to other people, I want say they do say, hey, like if you use your veto, your closest ally is going on a block, and I want her to say, F you. I'm gonna do what I want, like, because that's the energy that she has when she's not with them. She's like, they treat me like ish. They don't talk to me. They are rude to me. X, Y, and Z. Like F them. That's the energy she has. So she can carry that into the conversation if they do try to strong arm her into being like, don't use the veto because Chris will be going up. Then I know she won't, and it's not
It's,
smart for her to do. But fan fiction, baby. I
well, it's
want her to be like, F you.
Yeah. It's kind of wild because I feel like she needed that energy the first time she won the veto.
She needed that energy the first time
She
she won.
should have done it the first time. Now this second time, she should back off a little bit and be like, "Well, maybe I should be a little smarter." It's like you got the wrong, you mismatched your energies here.
Yes. And you know something that really annoys me, and I get it, like in the Big Brother game, in the Big Brother house, you go through so many emotions at different times, and you never know which emotion is actually going to stick. But when people like they see all this stuff and really rah it up, and then when it comes to do it, you don't have that rah energy, or you don't make that move. And my hopes are like, oh, I'm like salivating at the thought of you doing this, and then you do. Oh well, maybe not. I'm like, damn it, man. Why you had all my hopes up? You had me like I was texting my friends saying, oh, you're gonna want to tune in tonight just for this shit to happen, Taran. No, I'm pissed. I'm livid. I'm stressed. But I'm blessed. And I just hope that I want that energy. And I want that energy from Cynthia. I want that energy. I feel like Carson. What do you think of the Carson and Cynthia pairing? I love them together.
Yeah, I mean they're great. I mean the thing is like I feel like we get this a lot. There's usually at least one pair per season that's like this, where
Yeah.
it's like there are two people, they become fast friends, and then they mostly just hang out together and isolate together.
Hmm.
And it's like that's great for them, but I often am like socialize, like
I know. But
get out there.
I can only measure. Say, okay, say Terrence, say they put me and you in the house, right?
Mhm.
And say I feel like well, we may be friends. I feel like we'll be friends. And I'll be like, oh my God, Taran, you're my person. Why the hell are you gonna go talk to Misha? No, you stand your ass right here in this bed. We're gonna go make mac and cheese together, green bean. We gonna make everything together. We're gonna go to the restroom while I'm in the toilet, you wash your hands, and then we swap out. You know what I mean? Like that's what we do. We're on a schedule, we're on a regime. We don't leave each other. And so I would like that's so comforting, but game-wise, it's like, okay, come on now. Go socialize. But I don't know, it's so cute. And like they both are very sweet people. And when they work out, saying, okay, we're gonna make this, then we're gonna do this. It's just so cute to me. I love it. You
Yeah, see,
know?
I would have to be like Jacob. We're comfortable in our we trust each other. Right? Like we gotta spread out.
Taryn, but also I'm also trust me, my emotions, I'll be like, you trust me, but you not coming to me and telling me good night. You not saying
Mm.
good morning. Like I would be in my feelings, and especially if you don't
Insecure
do that.
attachment style. Yeah, we talked about
And
this in the
we
parent
talked about it, Taryn. Yes, and I'm be like, yo, what's going on, Taryn? So I'm gonna be on your ass. I'm gonna be like, yo, homeboy, you better give me some more affirmations,
You
X,
you
Y,
you
and
would
Z.
you would Todrick me. You'd be like, "You're too close to other people. I got to work with someone else."
TBH a little bit. I'm trust me. Come and say I'm too clingy. I'm very like if I find my person. Oh, the whole you leaving me to go pee? No, I'm going with you. What you mean? But yeah, not to that degree. But yeah, I've been enjoying this season though. I've been really enjoying
Mm,
it. It's been fun and cute. And it's a nice segue. It's a nice easy segue to the chaos that we're about to get into with other big brothers.
yes.
So,
Well, that's about what we have from yesterday. Jacob, anything else you wanted to bring up?
um, Shayna, talk with your pinky and talk loud and talk like you've been talking to Chris and like you've been talking to Carson and Cynthia whenever you had that conversation. Um, that's about it. That's what I want to see. Do I think it will happen? No. I think if they tell her Chris Kirkpatrick that she's not going to use it or she should not use it, but who knows at the end of the day. Cynthia, give me more of you. Carson, I hope you don't leave because you've been fun to watch. Todrick, mm, Lamar, I love Lamar, especially when he pooped. You know what I mean? It was just so funny, especially him going to the shower. Oh, you have to clean it up, and it was just like it's just the fact that you sharded, and it was like on TMZ and and stuff like that. Just so funny. I've never did that. For anyone wondering or speculating, I've never sharded before, and so it was
Certainly
very
not.
cute. Certainly not in the pool, Terrence. If that
Yeah,
happened, get away from me. I don't even want that
not
by
not in a
me.
hot
Like
tub with Kato Kalin.
no, maybe then. Who knows? But no, I like to stay clean. So, anything else from you, Taryn? Well, you
Uh,
talk to him every day.
that's about it here for the day. It was I mean it was a good day of feeds, a good night of feeds. They still cut a decent amount, but
Yeah, it cut a lot. And I
I
was
mean,
I was so I was getting so annoyed. And I know
yeah,
this has been a theme. Like anytime they get into like a juicy conversation, I saw you talking on last night's recap how it was they had all the cameras on one kind of section of the house or one scene, and then they played music on the other two, and they still had that scene running. It was like, why do this? Why do this? And so yeah, this and hopefully it gets better, but it has gotten progressively worse. So
yeah.
Wait,
Well,
I have a question for you.
yes.
How has since you've moved to the West Coast, how has watching feeds been different? Like your time schedule, or you're like, okay, I can actually stay up longer. Have you, I mean, with feeds cutting and specifically the celebrity version, they go to sleep earlier. And it's not that much chaos at nighttime. But like how has that have you seen any shifts with Boston watching live feeds, Taryn, versus San Diego watching live feeds, Taryn?
It's actually no different at all, because I have the same schedule for the updates. So,
Oh yeah.
yeah, so I'm waking up earlier for the update, so I need to go to bed early for the so I'm on the same schedule as the East Coast schedule. Just it kind of matches the sunrise and sunset a little better.
It's consistency, babes. It's consistency. I love it. It's discipline. Look at you, Taryn. I'm so proud of you. Anywho, but yeah, I was always intrigued by that. I was like, huh, I wonder if he's happier in the morning now. Well, sadder in the morning because you have to wake up earlier your time. Do you go to sleep differently or no? Like go to
Yeah,
sleep
like I
earlier?
said, it's this. So like if I was going to bed, let's say there's a night where I go to bed at like 3 a.m. on the East Coast because the feeds are very lively until then. on the West Coast, I'm going to bed at midnight.
Yeah.
Then and I'm waking up at 9 or 10 a.m. Eastern on the East Coast, or I would wake up like 5 or 6 or 6 or 7 on the West Coast. So
It's work ethic, babes. It's work ethic, babes. I just saw a TikTok of that, and I'm gonna continually to do that now on. But yeah, that's it for me.
All right. Well, that's what we have for you here for Celebrity Big Brother with the live feed update. Of course, tomorrow I'll be back at 11 a.m. Eastern to update you on everything that happens today on the Celebrity Big Brother live feeds. Again, waiting for that conversation between Misha and Shayna, and also likely the veto ceremony. We'll see what happens. Could be major drama. And then tomorrow night, a 2-hour episode of Celebrity Big Brother, where we will be recapping the episode afterward. And I'll be live during the episode on Twitch, twitch.tv/Taran Armstrong, to watch with all of you, which sometimes is necessary, especially for these 2-hour episodes, because they can get a little snoozy sometimes. So check all of that out. You can also check out the Taran Show. I have one with Jacob Jones. If you have not listened to it already, what are you doing with your life?
It's very cute. I listened back and I thoroughly enjoyed it.
It was great. And most recently, I have one with Nicole Maines, who was Dreamer on Supergirl. That one was great as well. So check that out. You can also find some videos that I've made over on YouTube. Taran's Quest. I talked about The Martian recently. And you can find me on Twitter at Armstrong Taran. Jacob, where can people find you?
People can find me on all social medias at JacobJ_Jones. Also, if you are a Real Housewives fan, me and Maggie Morgan have a recap show on the RHAP ups, and it comes out every Tuesday. This week we have to shift it to Wednesday. The season has been annoyingly fun. And is Puya on with you tomorrow?
Is it Friday? Yeah, probably.
Oh, Puya. I love that guy, Puya. Puya. But yeah, that'll be fun. And that's where I'm at typically. And if you want to hear my thoughts about anything, just DM me and listen to my Taran Show interview. And it was super fun, insightful, and lovely. Taran, thank you for having me this morning. Yeah, it's strategy, babes. It's connection.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's what we have for you. Thank you so much for joining us here today. And remember,
Don't poop the bed.
No, be swab.
See.
We'll see you next time.